Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. I'm Jody Lavoie, the founder of the Grief Company and Widows in the Workplace, and this is Navigating Work and Grief Together. This is a show where we explore how grief from all major life events like death, divorce, caring for ailing parents, and so much more affects all of us, our performance at work, and our personal well-being. So on this show, not only will we talk about it, but we're going to explore strategies on managing these challenges and fostering a supportive workplace. And today I am super excited. I have my friend Samantha Bates here, who we met on LinkedIn. And so it certainly makes sense to be having this conversation on LinkedIn. And Samantha is a midlife and sandwich caregiver life coach. And she's going to give you, as we have our conversations, some facts and figures, because this affects, as you know, so many of you out there, and maybe affecting a few of you right now. And it affects your work life. It affects your home life. It affects everything. And so Samantha is going to share her experience. And I always like to have a fun fact about one of my guests. And Samantha shared with me during COVID, she and three generations of her family consolidated households. So she's got her parents, she's got herself, and she's got her children all living under one roof, and they love it. So welcome, Samantha.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. So why don't you just start and tell us a little bit about what led you to do the work that you do?
For the past 30 years, I've been a corporate trainer and coach in many industries. And when I made the decision to become a family caregiver for three generations, I realized that there's a lot of people like me who are balancing work, caring for kids, caring for parents, and there's very little corporate or legal things in place, resources to help us. And so, as a life coach, I love to support people in their family caregiving journey.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And I know we talked a little bit before we came on here today about you're living this caregiving life. And so if you could just kind of paint a picture of what a day in the life of a caregiver looks like, who's also working and doing all the other things.
Every day is different. Some days you're doing more high level stuff like managing medications or coordinating appointments for doctor's visits. Sometimes it's really basic things like grocery shopping or taking your parent to an appointment or somewhere else they need to go to run errands. And you're dealing with both ends of the spectrum. You're dealing with kids that are learning and growing in independence, and then parents who are declining in independence. And so between working and taking care of two generations, every day is different.
And I bet there's stress, there's anxiety, there's overwhelm, there's all of these feelings and some grief feelings probably as well. Can you talk a little bit about the grief feelings? Because it comes from a variety of angles, I would think, in the caregiving realm.
Certainly. So one part is the kids part. Eventually you're going to become an empty nester. Your kids grow, they excel, they take off, and then that day-to-day interaction and purpose that you had being a parent is gone. And so that's a source of grief. You also have the either or kind of grief to say, okay, well, if I take my parent to this doctor's appointment, I'm going to miss my son's soccer game, where you're always having to try and prioritize who's getting my time and attention. With aging parents, you know them as these amazing, capable people. And as they slowly decline in their ability, you're little by little losing them, and eventually they pass away. And so there's a loss of that relationship as well. Also, with people who are working, a lot of times, in order to meet the needs of your family through caregiving, you're either declining promotions, working less hours, and for some workers, it's even completely leaving the workforce prematurely because it's just too much to handle, right?
Oh gosh, absolutely. And I bet there's some grief a little bit for yourself because of course you're doing what you want to be doing. You want to be caring for your parents. You want to be taking care of your kids. You still want to maintain a job, but you had a different you had different expectations or thoughts about what your life would look like, right?
Right. So it's part, like putting your dreams on hold because you're like, well, I have an aging parent to care for. Is that going to be 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? Like you just don't know. And so you're kind of playing it by ear. You're kind of like, okay, I'll put that promotion on hold, or I'll wait to start my own business until kids are gone and mom and dad are gone. And you want to give your family your best. You want to give them your attention and your time. But it comes at a cost. Like a lot of times you're skipping out on self care or doctor's appointments or taking care of what you need because you know that your family needs you. And so I think there's a fair amount of, trying to figure out how to create a good balance that takes care of you and them at the same time.
Absolutely, because you're you're trying to squeeze in a lot of things in 24 hours in a day, and you still need sleep, and you do still need time for yourself to 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 refresh, to revitalize, to and do things you like to do too.
Right. Right. I kind of a tough thing because you kind of feel isolated. It's always you doing everything. So time you used to have to spend with friends or other family members, it's not always there. So you kind of start to feel a little disconnected from the people you love, like
Mm.
friends or your social network. And it's really important to stay connected.
So important. I know you have some facts and figures about how many people this affects in the workplace, because I think employers and managers really have no idea the impact that this has. And so, can you share a little bit about the research that you found?
Sure. So it's estimated that there are 48 million workers who are family caregivers. The majority of those people are unpaid. So equates to about $600 million in free caregiving services that are provided every year. So that's an astounding number. But about 22% of adult caregivers are people like you and me in the workforce. And 61% of family caregivers have a job, mostly full time, on top of caregiving as well. And so that really starts to add up. Most caregivers work around 20 hours a week, but it can be up to 40 hours. So,
Wow. So wait, they're
workers,
working not in their job. They're working on caring for.
yeah. So a lot of people carry a job and a half or two jobs because they are working a full-time job and caring for family. And so it's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
And I know you work individually with folks that are going through this. What are you hearing specifically from what do they say about how their employers are reacting or saying or helping or supporting or not uh,
Right.
caregiving activities?
I think a lot of workers are afraid to speak up because they don't want to appear to be unpromotable or unreliable. Because unfortunately, the reality of caregiving is sometimes you got to take time off. Sometimes you get that phone call in the middle of the day interrupting you. And when you have that additional stress in your life, it affects your performance at work. So sometimes you don't want to take on extra work or you're declining a promotion. And your boss might think, well, what's going on with them? But you're afraid to say anything. But if your employers have really great support systems,
Mm.
FEMLA or an employee service, a support network that can help you find the resources you need so that you can stay productive at work and take care of your family.
Wow.
74% of workers are more likely to disclose to their employers hey, I'm a family caregiver. If they know they're going to get really good support and not be punished for sharing that information. So it's kind of a fine line, but it's something that if you have the additional supports available, it can really empower employees to stay productive and engaged in work.
Wow. So if you were to wave a magic wand and go, what would be an ideal situation in the workplace for a person that's caring for their aging parents or other family members, uh, from a support perspective? What would be ideal?
I would say offering flexible work accommodation, allowing flexibility to use paid time off, um, giving additional resources that help caregivers with the legal, medical, financial items. It's just because most of us don't have that expertise. How would you know that having like a medical power of attorney or a legal power of attorney would make the caregiving process so much easier, right?
Right.
But a lot of people just don't know where to start. So, employee support groups, services that are discounted or free, it can help employees with things like finding elder care or respite care. Most employees, 80%, say that their employers are much more understanding and helpful when it comes to childcare, but not elder care. And so we need to raise the awareness that this is going to be an ongoing problem. As the boomers all hit 65 in 2030, we have the largest population that are now eligible for Social Security and Medicare. But we have a shortage of paid care workers, and the need's not going to end. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be people like me and my colleagues who are going to have to care for family members, paid or unpaid. And if you can keep skilled and productive workers in the workforce that are already there, like you and me, it's really profitable for your company.
Absolutely. What are some positive things that managers could say to their employees and people that they on their team who might be going through this?
I think it's important that if you, especially if you have senior level or C suite level executives who have also been family caregivers, to share that experience and be open about it so that people know it's okay to talk about it. And I think it's really important to be proactive in sharing resources with employees who are caregivers who will be helpful for financial needs, legal needs, whatever. I think a lot of times people just don't know what benefits are available. By
Mhm.
sharing, it makes it easier.
Absolutely. And not asking just once, right? Because caregiving can go on for years
Mhm.
and 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 sometimes results in someone passing away, and then you've got the additional grief and time of healing that's involved with that. And so I specialize on the grief and after death side of things, but and it's so important in that space to keep asking how someone is doing, because so many people are like, "Ooh, I said I'm sorry. I said this once, so check, I'm done." And have you found that in the caregiving space as well?
I think being able to regularly check in with your employees who you know are dealing with extraordinary circumstances, such as family caregiving, check in with them regularly. How are things going? How can I better support you? Just keeping that dialogue open is really helpful.
Ah, so much so. And not only on this front, but with all of your relationships that you have with your employees and what they're going through. Because having that open door and open communication policy just creates a much better teamwork environment and increases productivity and trust and stickiness to an organization for sure. So, what are some personal care things that caregivers could do for themselves? Because they just do so much and put themselves last sometimes.
I think prioritizing self care
Hmm.
and creating positive boundaries for yourself. You can't do everything in a day. So prioritize what really needs to get done, delegate what you can, delete what you can, and plan for respite care. If it's just you, find someone that you trust, a family member, a friend, and say, I need a couple hours to myself. Can you stay with mom or dad while I'm out doing something for myself?
Good, good. And there are so many that I put their career trajectory on hold a little bit, like you mentioned at the beginning, or taking a step back or a step out of the workplace if they're able to for care. And that can create its own inner turmoil in somebody. So what thoughts do you have around that?
I think you have to take it on a case by case basis. I think employers, if they offer better supports for people who are in this situation, they can stay productive longer, they can work more hours, or even if they're willing to flex hours, okay, well, I need to work less hours for a certain period of time. It can make all the difference between someone staying in the workforce or leaving the workforce. And when it comes to like new opportunities, promotions, I think it's important for employers to realize there's a time and season for everything. Like caregiving won't be forever. And so if you are keeping valuable employees when their caregiving journey is over, they may be ready for that promotion. They may be ready to try something new. So give people a chance and just know that it's a journey.
Yeah, thank you. You have given us so many wise nuggets today, Samantha. If you want people to take away one thing from our conversation today, what would that be?
You don't need all the medical, legal, financial expertise to be an excellent family caregiver. You can work and you can provide excellent care to your family if you have the right tools and support.
Thank you. And asking for help. Ask for help. Excellent. So how can people find you, Samantha?
LinkedIn is where I spend most of my time. So if
Mhm.
you look me up on LinkedIn, I'm there and you can send me a message and I'll be happy to help you in any way I can.
Excellent. And she is an active poster on LinkedIn. So if you follow her, you will get extremely wise content. And it's Samantha Bates on LinkedIn. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I can't wait to share with you my next LinkedIn Live guest. Stay tuned. Thanks, Samantha.
Thank you.